This room here is my feeble attempt at a home studio. If you look around, you can see that some of the instruments have something in common. If you look over here, you'll see a Telecaster and a Epiphone Casino. Here I've got a Hofner bass. Now, all of these things were at one time used by the Beatles. Specifically, the Casino and this Hofner bass were used prolifically on a lot of Beatles records. And I've been chasing specific sounds that the Beatles had on certain records on a budget. I was very interested recently when I found out that Spitfire Audio had sampled and released the piano that was used on Penny Lane, which is called the Mrs. Mills piano. It's this upright old piano that was in Abbey Road that had been specifically treated on the hammers to sound quite, I don't know how to describe it. It has a certain character. As soon as I'd heard this, I thought, well, I'm gonna have to try this out, because it's only about £30 or so at the moment. I don't know if this price is going to go up or down. As someone who's been chasing the Beatles sound, this is something I definitely had to check out. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview now and talk you through the features on the Spitfire Audio Originals VST, which can be loaded into your DAW, and talk about how this specific instrument can be used. Okay, so that should seem pretty familiar. This is the piano line from Penny Lane. If you listen to the actual song Penny Lane, it's not that the piano is being played throughout. There's all sorts of other instrumentation. There's some type of like organy sound, and then they've got the horn section that comes in later on. But there's one part specifically which is played by this piano sound, and it's this one. So there are a million different piano VSTs and sampled pianos out there for you to get your hands on. You know, you've got all of these concert grands, and then you've got other offerings by Spitfire Audio like soft piano, or, you know, there's all these felted pianos, and they all have their own application. What draws me to this one is not only because it's this famous piano that's been used by the Beatles, but it has a specific character to it. I could definitely see myself using this on certain recordings where, you know, I'm not looking for a soft, you know, pillowy kind of sad sounding piano. It has a certain percussive element to it. The lacquer that was used on the hammers that hit the strings and the slight detuning of the strings give it this very specific quality that kind of, when you hit it hard, it gives it this almost guitar-like quality at certain points. In a mix of a track, it would come through the mix more sharply, and it'll have a specific colour to the sound. And this is definitely something I'm looking forward to trying to implement. So I just want to talk a little bit about the VST and my experience with it. So right now what I've been playing is the 1968 kind of vintage Beatles version. So there's a room and a vintage mic, which have all been sampled, and you can layer them together. When I first downloaded this, I found that it was kind of overloading my laptop. Now my laptop, it's not the best, but it's not the worst. and I've been able to run most kind of softwares and VSTs. I've never really had a problem, and this is the first time that it started to kind of crash my system a bit. And what I've found is if I try to have all of the different mics that have been sampled together, it kind of takes up too much RAM and my computer kind of craps out. So this is just the vintage mic only, or the vintage section. I'm not sure if it's a specific mic or a type of colouring to the close mic, but this is something that I'm going to have to work around with this piano. And it's something to bear in mind if you're not running like some, £50,000 laptop, computer setup. You might have to have some workaround also where the limitations of your system might get in the way at times. Now for me, just having the vintage setting suits me down to the ground. In an ideal world, I'll have access to all of them, and at some point I'm going to try to upgrade my system, and I'll be able to get maybe different textures and colours out of this, but I'm very happy with it at the moment. Now I've got 8 gig of RAM, so ideally you'd want 16 if you were to run this fully, and enough free storage. I've got about 200 gigabytes of free usable storage on my laptop now, and 8 gig of RAM, and I'm right at capacity just using one mic here, so that's definitely something to bear in mind. If you look at this layout here, you've got this reverb. Now if I turn this reverb up, you can hear So I don't have the headphones on, so I don't know how that sounds, but you'll be able to get a feel for it, so you've got this reverb thing, and then you also have the option for tightness, hammers, and pedal. Now these are all different options to tweak. One other thing I'll say, if you are having trouble with this VST, what you want to do is you want to go into the settings, and then in the audio, it'll give you maximum voices, preload size, stream buffer size, and master tuning and default stereo. So what you want to do is you want to increase your preload and stream buffer amounts. These will stop it from stuttering or crashing at all, but you also want to balance this with however much RAM you've got. So if you've got, like me, if you've got 8 gig of RAM, you can't preload all 3 mics that have been sampled. I can preload 100,000 on just the one mic, and then that will load it up, and it'll, I have my computer diagnostics to kind of show me how the RAM's getting full, and it kind of tops out with a little bit remaining, and then I can play this, and I can play it in, and then I'll probably have to sample it to another track, and then have it kind of hard recorded in, so then I can close this, because if I want to get some other Spitfire audio originals, I can't afford Contact at the moment, so I have to go for these originals or Labs. Labs is brilliant. Labs is a lot easier to run. So I'll have to not have multiple instances of these Spitfire audio originals running at the same time, or it's just going to eat up all of my computer's memory. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. This is my super home studio, and I'm going to be making a lot more videos, especially Beatles related videos. I've got a bunch of different ones. I've got a video about this Hofner bass. I'm going to be putting some flat wound strings on it and testing it out on a couple of tracks. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.